are so awesome.
What'd you think? Weren't they awesome? Great. Many thanks to Kathy and Dave, Keith, Carol, Kathy, Catherine, Teresa, Ted, and Chris. They volunteered to do this stuff, and they are so talented. We are very fortunate in this district. Well, we truly welcome you back. I think this was the fastest summer in record. It just flew by after you blinked. But we are looking forward to a great year. I am looking personally forward to working with all of you because that's where I get my most joy. There are a couple of things I wanted to focus on in your packets. You do have an RTI reference guide. Most of you know that or understood the RTI process in the elementary and the middle school. The people who are on the committee will review that guide with you at a faculty meeting or sometime during this particular school week, whatever your administrator has scheduled it for. In addition, you have for K-8 a new policy and procedure for identifying gifted and talented students. Please review that, and I know you will be reviewing that within your buildings. There are a couple of changes for professional development. The music and art teachers K-12 will meet at the high school tomorrow at 12:30. Please check your emails for the exact room. And the PE teachers will meet in Health Room 1 tomorrow at 12:30 for K-12. This way that you have an opportunity to work together, something that you've all requested. Okay, without much further ado, I have the pleasure of first welcoming our board members who came to join us today. Frank Carano, who will speak next, John Prince, who has joined us today, and Judy Hooks. It's my pleasure to introduce Frank Carano, our chairman of the Board of Education, and great support.
All right, welcome back to 2009-2010 school year. It was wonderful to hear that musical presentation because I think it represents the level of talent and expertise and dedication that we have among the staff that work in our public schools. We're really grateful for that. But you know, we did travel a rocky road to get here today. It was fraught with anxiety and angst over our budget, over contract issues. And we struggle year after year to find the answer to the question, how much does it take to provide the resources necessary for our students to fulfill our mission? Each generation of teachers seems destined to have to confront issues that reflect the particular conditions of the world at that time. My generation of teachers in the 60s and 70s were challenged to elevate the economic conditions that teachers would struggle with for generations. We engaged in civil disobedience to challenge institutions to acknowledge the right of teachers to earn salaries commensurate with the important work that we do. Your generation is being challenged to leave no child behind and to prepare each child with the necessary skills to be successful in this world that's always changing and increasing in complexity. But in spite of and doing all that with declining resources. So in other words, we're always asking you to do more with less. The one constant seems to be embedded in the question, what do our children need to know, be able to do in order to succeed in school and the world beyond? Finding the answer to that question remains the overwhelming imperative for us as teachers, professionals, and caring members of the community. I work with aspiring teachers, and we talk a lot about creating the environment in class that supports the learning needs of all students, and in particular to identify the teacher attributes that contribute to that success. All the research that is available suggests that the teacher is the most important element in the success of class. Teachers are key. And when we celebrate success with students, according to Bob Marzano, it's generally because the teacher was able to determine which strategies to employ with the right students at the right time. In Angela's Ashes, Frank McCourt describes the Irish public school system, run by clergy, with a heavy-handed emphasis on adherence to a rigid curriculum. In spite of demoralizing tactics employed by teachers, many students come to recognize the power of knowledge as a means of elevating their lives. We fortunately have a more humanistic approach to teaching and learning. The goal, however, is not really different. We challenge our students to recognize the power of knowledge and the appreciation of the beauty of life that is gained through learning about the world. I'm aware of the commitment that you bring to your teaching responsibility. You understand the effort and skills you employ in your class every day. We understand also that success is sometimes more difficult to achieve than we would wish. But I know you believe, as we do, that success is achievable. So I challenge all of you to continue to do all that you can to bring the world to your students and to guide them to the understanding of the power of knowledge and the joy that comes with learning and doing. You know that you have the passion and the skill to accomplish this important goal. And that you believe, as we do, that every child deserves and needs and wants your best effort. So as we look ahead to the new year, please keep doing that which you do so well, which is to make each child in your classroom the most important person in your class. So thank you very much for all your efforts. They really are appreciated. And I offer best wishes on behalf of the Board of Education for a very successful school year. Thank you and good luck.
We do actually have a few new teachers that we're welcoming to the Branford Public Schools community. And at this time, we're going to begin our introductions. And we'll start with the high school, and Mr. Pangoulias will introduce us.
Thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing two new teachers at Branford High School this year. The first is Todd Gagliardi. Where is Todd today? Todd is our new full-time Spanish teacher. Todd graduated from Southern Connecticut State University with a bachelor in Spanish. Todd's previous experiences included a long-term sub position in Spanish at Farmington High School and North Branford High School. Todd has played soccer for over 20 years and also served as a coach and a referee. He currently is the girls' JV soccer coach at North Branford High School. Todd also plays guitar and loves to use music in the classroom. He has studied and traveled abroad and has taken jobs with predominantly Spanish-speaking people in order to enhance his level of proficiency in the language and as well as enhance his knowledge of the local culture. That's Todd Gagliardi. Our next new teacher is Laura Kaiser. I saw her here, so she can't hide. Laura is our new art and computer graphics teacher. She also received her bachelor's degree and master's degree from Southern Connecticut State University. Laura's previous experience includes several years of teaching art at the middle school in Madison and New Haven. Laura's interests include creative writing and photography. She has traveled extensively as a foreign exchange student and is aware of the need to teach and have a better understanding of cultural awareness. She is an organic gardener and would love to eventually get involved in greenhouse gardening. She's an advocate in making the world green. She holds a certificate in Radiant Child Yoga, which covers teaching yoga to toddlers and teens. Thanks to both of them for coming to Branford High School.
From Walsh Intermediate School, Mr. Goller will introduce his new staff.
Good morning. Our new teacher is a .5 math enrichment teacher, but just because it's .5 doesn't mean that I'm going to skimp on the introduction. Tracy Penny, where are you? Tracy's family, who was recently married, was Tracy Baldwin just a few weeks ago. So that's why I had to write this down, because I did not want to mess that up. Welcome, Tracy. Tracy will be our math enrichment teacher at Walsh. She's a .5 teacher. She has had experience at UConn, where she got her BA in Environmental Studies, and a master's from the University of New Haven. She's been a special ed para at Walsh the last year, and did her student teaching at the Spencer School in Middletown. She also interned at Murphy in our district, at the elementary school. Tracy has had experience working at the Children's Museum in West Hartford, where she designed lessons for school groups incorporating various science topics, and worked for the Department of Environmental Protection, where she coordinated pollution prevention and recycling awareness programs for the public. Tracy is a product of the Branford school system and was active as a BHS athlete, as a member of the volleyball, basketball, and softball teams. She's also the captain of the softball team, and she was an aspiring actress in the spring musical, having the lead in Little Abner, as some of you might remember. Welcome, Tracy. Good to have you.
Welcoming our new teacher at Tisco is Mr. Rabinowitz.
Christine Bernardi will be a new third grade teacher at Tisco. Christine, Christine has taught in the Boston area, kindergarten, first, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. She has experience at almost every grade, and she brings a wealth of knowledge with her. She has her master's from Boston College in elementary curriculum and instruction. She is an active soccer and basketball player who has coached at the collegiate level. Finally, she exudes her love for kids, and kids respond in kind. Welcome aboard, Christine.
And Mr. Cavallero will introduce our new speech and language person.
Excuse me. It's my pleasure to introduce Suzanne Powers as our .5 speech and language pathologist at the high school. This is a position that is usually extremely difficult to fill. Last year we actually weren't able to fill it and had to kind of use in-house staff and extend their time here. So we're really pleased to have Suzanne. She comes to us with an undergraduate degree from Dartmouth, and then her professional training as an SLP from City University of New York, Queens College. She spent the last 2 years in a rehab facility working with pediatric and adult patients. Prior to that, was in the Shelton Public Schools for 4 years, working with preschool students all the way up through grade 8. Prior to that, there were hospital and other rehab experiences. She comes with training and experience working with autistic students and with a whole host of medically related issues that speech and language has to address. Suzanne, prior to that time, she comes to us from a theater background where she is a singer and a performer, and I think still manages to do some of that on the side. We welcome you, Suzanne. If you could stand up for just a second.
Okay, thank you all. Teachers, we welcome you to our Branford Public School community. I'm sure you have an awesome meeting. At this time, I'd like to introduce Branford Education Association's new president, Dave Brendel.
Good morning. So I'm getting dressed this morning as my wife is packing up to take my two daughters to Misquamicut. And my youngest daughter looks at me and says, "Daddy, are you going with us?" And I said, "No, I have to go to work today." She said, "Oh, do you mean you're painting your room again?" I said, "No, honey, I have to go to school." "I'm sorry." So it was an interesting morning to start out with. First of all, on behalf of the BEA and the BEA Executive Board, I would like to welcome all of you back. And to all of our new staff members in Branford, please know that you are extraordinarily welcome here. As I mentioned at the new teacher orientation, there is no way you're going to be able to be an individual. The staffs at all of your buildings are going to suck you right into the world. And trust me when I say you're going to enjoy working here. But more than that, you're going to enjoy working with the people in those buildings. They're just a phenomenal community. At this point, I would like to take a moment to thank two people who have changed roles within the BEA, Carl Seeley and Peter and Clara. If you could both stand up for a second. As I learn this new role, I am getting a small inkling of what goes into it, and knowing what Peter and Carl have put into it, my hat is off to you, and on behalf of all of us, I would like to extend my thanks as well. We're fortunate in that both of these gentlemen will remain on the executive board so that their experience and leadership will continue to serve all of us. Last year was definitely very challenging on many, many levels. But throughout all of that, one of the things that I've come to understand is that we as a union are strong. And I think we realized that when we started to talk across our levels, we started to understand what goes on more. We started simply to talk with each other, to problem solve, to come to solutions, to generate ideas. And that is something that as we go forward to this year, I sincerely hope we continue. While I don't know that this year will hold the challenges that it did last year, there is strength in this room, and there is strength among us, and I hope we continue to use that for the benefit of our students. We heard about budgetary constraints and the resources that may not be available to us, but one of the things that I firmly believe is that we are our greatest resource. When we talk with each other about ideas in the classroom, or trying this, or how do I connect with that student, that's where our strength lies. That's where we get a chance to be the teachers that we can be so that our students can continue to grow as they move throughout the school system and beyond. So let us be sure that we do keep talking, we keep sharing, and that we keep moving forward as this year goes by. Recently, I was reminded of one of my first jobs. I was 16 and I taught tennis at what is now the Guilford Racket Swim Club. Taught 5- and 6-year-olds how to play. And the first moment that I watched a 5-year-old launch a tennis ball over the net successfully, and he turned around and looked at me with this smile, was something that I'll never forget. And then it dawned on me, I'm fortunate that I work in a profession and in a place where I get to make that happen every day. I can help a kid realize something, as can you. I know that that can get lost sometimes in the midst of testing, assessments, paperwork, the administrative of the education world. But beneath it all, we're here to make a kid smile, to help them realize that they can do. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you good luck on this year, and let's all make them smile.
We have two people from the state attorney's office who came today to really review with us the reporting protocol on child abuse. And I welcome them, and I ask you to give them your undivided attention, Melissa Sansone and Brian Sibley.
Good morning, everyone. I am actually an investigation supervisor for the DCF New Haven office.
I'm Brian Sibley. I'm one of the prosecutors here at the gate that covers the judicial district when it comes to Franklin.
First, let's start off by explaining what our multidisciplinary team does.
One of the things you may have in your packet that we're going to give you a copy of the information that's listed as minimum facts. Fortunately for you, we're not going to go page by page and go through this for you first thing Monday morning. But the information
Okay, hopefully you have the packet that's listed as minimal facts. This is something that typically we go through in smaller groups. We go page by page and provide the information. Because it's Monday morning, we have 15 minutes. You don't have to be bored by our talking. You can simply read it. But the information is still important. I know most of you are here because you love children. And that's why we're here. That's why we participate in this multidisciplinary team. It's for the protection of children. I'll let Melissa explain to you exactly what the MDT team did.
The MDT meets at the DCF New Haven office. We meet every other Thursday. The team consists of people from the Yale Child Sexual Abuse Clinic, people from the prosecutor's office, DCF, basically doctors, attorneys, police, and we all meet together on cases and talk about them and see what we can do to help the children we serve.
What we're saying, our role is, especially as far as the you folks go, is on your day-to-day basis, you're trying to do things for kids to teach them things. And unfortunately, life itself and the problems from outside are going to creep into some of your classrooms. I hope that I never actually have to speak to any of you as far as an individual case, because it is a grim subject. But there may be some of you in here that this may have already happened to. Is that one day you walk into class and you're busy trying to get ready for a test, and one of your students comes up to you and says, I have a problem. And you're thinking, okay, what, you forgot your lunch money, you didn't have your shoes tied. But they may unfortunately describe for you something that somebody's touched them inappropriately. And it's going to rock your world at that point. And you're going to wish, I never had to hear that phrase uttered, now what do I do? This is where the MDT role starts to play into it. And Melissa's just going to explain to you what happens when you hear that phrase, somebody's been touching me.
What we want to really emphasize, and as Brian said, we all have a common goal. We want to better the lives of the children we serve. If somebody comes to you and makes a disclosure, please do not have 5 other people re-question this child. I know it happens quite often where a child may come to a teacher, then the social worker questions the child, then the principal questions the child. I would just emphasize and ask that once the disclosure is made, that you contact the DCF hotline, which is on your last page of your packet, and let us and the law enforcement deal with that disclosure.
As people that are protecting children, when you hear that first statement, you get over the, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me, what do I do now? Obviously the big thing is that we want to protect the child. If it's in a group disclosure, in other words, you're sitting there and you're watching a film and somebody says, oh, that happened to me, and this discussion starts to happen, separate the child, get the child perhaps to the office, to the nurse, to the principal's office, somewhere where it's private, where then you can begin with the process that we have outlined for you in these packets as to what information to gather. We're not asking you to be detectives. That's actually the thing that we don't want you to do, because it can interfere with the protection of the child. The ultimate goal is to protect the child, to find out first of all if the disclosure is something that actually happened. Because too many claims can be made that somebody touched me and it gets misinterpreted, and you can actually ruin lives by going further and by not acting appropriately. Such as somebody could be accused falsely. Nobody wants to be accused falsely. The other thing is, for the protection of the child, if it is actually happening, the goal for all of us is to protect the child and to get them out of that environment. As a first-line person who may hear some of this stuff, the information that you would gather is extremely helpful, extremely important to ferret out the problem. Again, as a teacher, your role is minimal. It's just to take the basic information and forward it on to the people who do this on a daily basis.
And I would just ask that if a child discloses that their perpetrator is in the home, to please wait for DCF and law enforcement to respond. Please do not send a child home to their perpetrator. Unfortunately, it has happened. And something else I would like to emphasize, that if a child makes a disclosure, please call the hotline immediately. Do not wait 2 days later. Do not wait a week later. As long as you're making a report in good faith, please call the hotline.
Each of the administrators for the buildings for which you teach will have contact information. I know this is just kind of a throw this out at you, but it's just sort of an idea to think about what you would do in the event that one of your students comes to you and just makes some sort of disclosure of this nature. We would usually ask for questions and things like that. We've been asked not to do that this morning because we don't want to detract from what you're actually doing this morning. But you do have the information from your administrators as who to contact with the MDT members if you have a case specific or if you have a general question that you would like to have answered. We're always available. We always want to make sure the information gets out there because obviously the number one thing that we want to do is make sure the children are protected. We also want people to be able to forward information on a confidential matter in a way that's timely and also protects you from having to deal with something further. Thank you, and good luck to you.
It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Branford's Teacher of the Year for 2010, Salvatore Zarra.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the other nominees, because it could be any one of you up here right now. I'd like to thank the selection committee for the work they do every year, because it's not easy. And I appreciate the decision you made this year by choosing me. So that's nice also. But there's some very important people in this room I need to thank. And first of all, Mr. Michael Thompson, who wrote a letter and a half. Let me tell you, it was funny. It had me laughing. I framed it, and I look at that often. And Rich Biondi, who did all the covert operations of getting my family here, unbeknownst to me, in the building for the day they actually announced it. So thank you guys for that work, because it's much appreciated. I know it's took a lot of work. And I also like to thank the 40-plus faculty members that signed that letter and sent it off to the Board of Education and the selection committee. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, there's some people very important to thank, and they're not here, and education to them was a gift. My mom and dad, between them, had a little less than 5 years of formal education. So they appreciated education, and as a young boy growing up, they always taught me to make the most of your opportunities, and education will give you the tools you need to make a better life for yourself. So they set me on the path that brought me here, and I definitely appreciate that. And they weren't here the day of the committee because they were in Italy at the time, but I was lucky enough to spend the last 3.5 weeks with them over there. Got off a plane about 36 hours ago. So it was nice to see them there and eat some good Italian food and drink some homemade wine every day, because that's the way life should be. 3-hour meals, a nap every afternoon, surrounded by loving people. Why am I here today? It's because of the people I've been surrounded by my entire life. My fellow teachers, my former teachers, and my friends, also known as the Hebrians, a collection of the best teachers this building may have ever seen. We have many Teacher of the Year candidates in there. Kathy Anarodi and Helen Alperino, who are already taken down that award, so I copied from them along the way, and every day, as we sit in our period 3 lunchroom there, you discuss the things that are important, what's working well, what isn't working well, and you're surrounded by a brain trust. It's so wonderful that it brings it to where you have to be. So I thank you for helping me through the harder points of my life. I also work in a wonderful department known as Horizons. It is perhaps the greatest alternative education program in the state of Connecticut, made up of teachers that truly understand that putting the students first is what it's all about. They help you grow from a marketing major who entered the teaching profession years ago and had a lot of energy and a lot of great ideas and just needed some fine-tuning. And they made me what I am today by bouncing things off of me, sharing their knowledge, and their compassion along the way. So I thank all of you, Horizons teachers, for helping me throughout these years, and hopefully we can continue to grow so that we continue to be one of the greatest things ever in the alternative education world. And there's some other former teachers who are good friends of mine and have given me little bits of information along the way that I've employed in my use. Peter Stolzman, who taught me to every day take the gifts I have to try to make this world a better place to live. When I see the empathy and the compassion of a Peter Stolzman, you can't help but become a better teacher. And then I have Jim McVeigh, God rest his soul, one of the greatest people I've ever known in my life. And he told me, just take whatever you have, give all your heart and all your energy to these kids, and they'll give it back to you 10 times over. So he inspires me still to this day when I think of him to become a better person and a better teacher. And then Kathy Anarodi, who taught me to strive for excellence, and when you reach that, go for a little more. Being around her, watching her teach, traveling to Europe with her, and just watching how she builds her program into what it is, you can't help but become a better person just by trying to copy the things she does, except singing. She won't let me do that. Tells me you can do whatever you want on these chairs, so don't open your mouth and try to pull anything up. I thank you for that. And another very good friend of mine who taught me the joys of moving this summer, Mr. Kevin McDonough. He taught me to help guide students towards making better decisions by giving them ownership in their decisions and showing them how it affects other people and how it affects them in their future lives. So Kevin taught me to listen to these kids and help them grow, because these teenage years are not easy years for them. If we can give them just a soft shoulder, a compassionate ear, and a little bit of our time, they will turn out to be good people down the road. So Kevin, I thank you for that. He told me that kind words are like honey. They're sweet to the taste, and they're good for your health. So if you have a chance to make a kid feel a little better by talking to them and showing that you care, you've done your job that day. And also, my best friend in this building, Mr. Rich Biondi, who helped me with everything I've ever done. Veterans Appreciation Day, Rich and I are side by side. Horizons website, track and field websites, the video yearbooks we've done, homecoming activities, whatever I need. Let me know, Sal, I'll make it happen. And we have this all-school picnic, which I'm out there trying to feed the whole world, but Rich is over there doing everything he can to make sure that we have what we have going on. It used to be called an all-school picnic. Then one day Tom Webster said, we got to spice it up a little bit. We need t-shirts, and we got to give it a better name. It's not quite Lollapalooza, we'll call it Salapalooza. So to this day, I just see people walking around with t-shirts like this. It's because Tom Webster gave us the idea that the food's good, the rock and roll bands, the signing of the yearbooks, and people spending time together is wonderful, but if you have a chance to spice something up in life a little bit, let's make it happen. So Tom, you're a legend now, so God bless you. And what's the secret of being the teacher I am? It's one word. It's love. I love being here. I love being with the kids. I love being with my fellow teachers. If I had a chance to come here and I didn't have to work, I'd still spend time with a lot of you, because you're wonderful, and it makes life a pleasant thing when you're surrounded by people that you love and you do a job you truly love. And Jim McVeigh told me one time, and this is very important, he told me the kids will not remember the lessons you give them so much, the things you teach them, but they will remember how you make them feel. So if you have a chance to make somebody feel a little better on any given day, take the time. Because years from now, that's what they're going to remember. How much you loved them, how much you cared for them, and how you made them feel while they're going through these years. So I feel blessed and fortunate to be here, surrounded by you guys, surrounded by some great teachers, and in a school system where, as Dave Brendel said, you new teachers, you're very lucky. Because in this building, when you have a question, when you have a need, there's going to be a lot of people that reach out to you to help you out. So don't be afraid to ask. You don't have to remember our name. Hey, you. I don't know how to use this 5th version of the grading system we have in the last 7 years. We have questions too. So don't forget. Reach out to each other and help each other out, because we're in a search of excellence here. So let's go out there. Make it happen. It doesn't matter what lies before you or behind you. What matters most is what lies within you. So let's make this world a better place. Let's make this a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. And of course, now I have the opportunity to introduce you to our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Kathleen Howell.
Good morning. Sal is a hard act to follow, so please bear with me. Good morning and welcome to Board of Ed members who have so graciously come here this morning, teachers, administrators, and other staff members. How about those Yankees? I decided I was not going to vote. So In the words of Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. And I understand that. But for right now, it's feeling good. Back to school, 2009. In 1994, Doris Kearns Goodwin wrote a book entitled No Ordinary Time. The title was based on a quote of Eleanor Roosevelt's at the Democratic Convention of 1940. The United States had just entered World War II, and the upheaval of the nation would prove to be unprecedented. Now, almost 70 years later, we seem to be again in a time that is far from ordinary. We live in a world that has become increasingly flat. Technology has linked us in mere seconds with those who live halfway around the world. Our environmental issues point out the interconnectedness and interdependency of all peoples. The struggles for freedom, rights, and democracy are apparent across the globe. And the H1N1 influenza virus, commonly referred to as the swine flu, has shown no knowledge of boundaries and has infected the world in a flash, readying itself to take a second swing at the Northern Hemisphere. Our nation is fighting wars in two lands. We have endured the most severe economic downturn since the Great Depression. Our government and way of life is being tested like no other time in history. There is a health reform debate that speaks to our core beliefs about our fellow citizens, and we are preparing for the return of that swine flu. Our state does not yet have a budget, which leaves many programs in the state of limbo. And locally, we have seen the smallest budget increase in recent history. It's kind of depressing. We, as educators, are being asked to prepare our students to deal with all of these issues, as well as with yet unknown challenges in the future. Yet, even given all of these known challenges, we are well positioned to do just this. Over the past few years, structures have been put into place in Branford to support the learning that is so essential to educators' growth and development. These structures are reflective of the recent explosion in cognitive science, which is now playing a key role in the reforms of schooling. Two important points can be gleaned from this recent research as it relates to teacher learning and have been key to our work. Teachers' work must be collaborative, and teachers' professional development and learning must be embedded in their everyday work in the classroom. Collaboration and job embedded, two essential ideas that are intimately connected. Your professional growth must embrace individual and collective learning as you make meaning in the complex reality of schooling. According to Fullen, collaboration is a powerful structure, which means that people can do powerfully wrong things together. In order to effect positive change, the collaborative focus must be on student performance for all students. And the conversations must be driven by the evidence, by the data. Teachers of today and tomorrow must have the opportunity to test out, refine, and get feedback on the improvements they make in the classroom. For each of you, taking those practices that you do so well and sharing them with your colleagues can only strengthen our collective knowledge. And so, as you greet the new school year with renewed energy and enthusiasm, in an environment that is not ordinary, your commitment must be to continuously improve and hone your craft through collective action. Continue to develop and deepen the learning communities in your grade levels, departments, and schools. Open your classroom to your peers. Observe colleagues and participate in dialogue about student learning that can be so rich in meaning. Challenge assumptions about practice, your own and others. Critically analyze the evidence. And finally, stay the course. Do not be discouraged. The work that you do each and every day is the most important contribution that anyone can make to the future of our children and to society in general. Good teaching is robot science. And here in Branford, you are up to the challenge. You are no ordinary teacher force. My best wishes for a fulfilling, successful, and healthy school year. Thank you all. That really is the end of our opening session.